time once again to slip into your camo, grab your bow, and join us out in the field for another episode of the Up North Journal, presented by PSE Archery. The Up North Journal crew is knocked and ready to rock for another exciting adventure. So let's step outside and hit the trail.
This episode of the Up North Journal podcast is brought to you by
PSE Archery, Yamaha Outboards, Better the Hunt, Easy Cut, Packer Max, Deer Camp Coffee, Buck Baits, JPO Game Calls, Limwalker Game Calls, Wild Seasoning, Total Peep, Sunrise Archery, Scent Lock, and Scent Blocker.
Welcome back to another episode of the Up North Journal, everybody. Host Mike Adams sitting in the cabin tonight with Dan DeFall here in Michigan on a pretty pleasant evening this Thursday.
It's not too bad. We had some weather come through. I think the humidity's dropping for time being. It'll be back.
Right.
You know, and so, you know, we're back from vacation. Had a good 4th of July up in the UP.
Yeah, we got out and did some camping. Got rained on pretty severely, but did a lot of kayaking.
That was weird. One of the things that happened to me was when I went up, I stayed, because I go across US too, so I stayed on the southern side of the UP. It rained the whole entire time till I headed north, and about when I got to Crystal Falls, where I'm at, it stopped.
There you go. That's good.
Right.
Big shout out to Jennifer Drake. We were just talking about. She's on tonight watching.
Yeah.
Hey, Jen. So, go ahead. Let's talk about the people who help us put on the show.
Absolutely. Let's talk about them. Hey, it's getting close to hunting season here in Michigan. We are a few months out. Today you can apply for your doe tags if you need to. Go on over to Buck Baits, buckbaits.com. Go check out their line of scents and everything they got. Use the promo code UNJ20 and you'll get 20% off your order. Packer Max. I did a couple food plots while I was up there, and I used the Packer Max for my final pressing it down into the ground. I did the throw and mow.
Okay.
I threw it, I mowed it, and pressed it. Get over to Packer Max. See Lincoln Roan. Congratulations, Lincoln. I see you on Facebook. He's a grandpa again. Number 9, I do believe the number was. Get $25 off your order using the promo code UNJ25 over at Packer Max. JPO Game Calls. Want a deer grunt tube or anything like that? Maybe a coyote call. Go over to jpogamecalls.com.
Check out that Omni system he's got. That thing is killer.
Absolutely. 10%. UNJ10. Hey, we're in the prime of wild seasoning cooking season. So use wild seasoning, right?
There you go.
Absolutely. UNJ 2021 gets 10% off your order at wildseasoning.com. And last but not least, Deer Camp Coffee Roasting Company and Outfit. That's right. They're carrying our logo on their coffee. Ain't that nice? Right here in front, actually. If you can see it on the Facebook, right there.
And we do have the new logo coming on that. We just got the logo.
We just got the
sent to
proof
us
minutes
tonight.
ago.
So
yeah, so if you use the promo code UNJ10, you get 10% off your order at deercampcoffee.com. You can try out the blueberry. You can try out the Huntress, which is the chocolate. Try it hot or try the cold brew system.
I love that cold brew system. Been doing a lot of that here lately. And actually, this is the first hot coffee I've had in over, about a week.
Okay.
A little over a week, yeah. So I ran out. I got to make some more cold brew.
Nice. But it's Thursday. It's the third Thursday of the month. And what do we typically do on a third Thursday of the month?
That is Yamaha night.
It is Yamaha night. And tonight we typically have, lately, as everybody knows, we talk to the walleye guys for Yamaha and bass guys. Well, this time we're switching over to the ATV side-by-side, but yet he still does the bass fishing, so he's actually a multifaceted outdoorsman. Multifaceted. And you know what? Wade Middleton, welcome to the show.
Howdy, guys. How are you?
Doing good up here in Michigan. How's it down there in San Antonio?
You know, it's not bad. I mean, normally July is about 101. You can cook an egg on the concrete and pop popcorn outside without having to put it in the microwave. But it's really pretty comfortable right now.
You know, it's getting to be that time in the evenings here in Michigan. And I imagine maybe down there you get that little cool breeze every now and then.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden that trigger finger starts to twitch just a little bit. You can smell it coming.
Yeah, my trigger finger kind of twitches all year long. I never quit thinking about it. Even when I'm bass fishing, I'm looking up in the brush thinking that'd be a great place to hang a tree stand right there.
You know, that's the way all of us outdoorsmen are. Yeah, I'm driving down the road, I'm thinking, man, that's a nice looking field. I'd put a tree stand right back there, you know, in that corner, and wind direction be right. And it's just, I don't know, it's in our nature.
It is, absolutely.
You know, at least that's what Cabela tells us, right?
That's absolutely right. I was going to say say something. That's a great play on words. We used that saying for a long time, but it was true. You know, those commercials were something that were inspiring back in the day. They made you want to go do those things.
Absolutely. Now you with Cabela's, you with actually a lot of different outfits and do a lot of things. But how did you get your start into the outdoors? Where did that all begin, as far as, you know, on the media side of things in front of the camera?
I mean, honestly, I was that little kid that dreamed of this. I remember writing letters to guys that had TV shows back in the early days, and writing letters to the writers. And that was, I don't know. I mean, that was just always something I thought would be real neat. I think mostly because I wanted to go fishing and hunting. I thought they got to go to all these places I didn't. But I really got my start. I was guiding in and around South Texas at the time, and met a bunch of different people that had TV shows. And it just really kind of expanded from there.
And away you went, and here we are today.
I was too dumb to quit when I didn't to rub together.
That seems to be the growing thing in the outdoor industry. When you probably talk to everybody, it's like, yeah, I forgot to get off the bus.
Right.
It's one of those things, and you just sit there. But you know what? It is for the love of the outdoors. And for you, being on both sides of the aisle of hunting and fishing, you could see a pond in the backyard, and you're there throwing something at it.
Well, I can think about throwing something at it, maybe getting a late flight of doves coming into water, or putting a duck blind by the pond. I mean, there's a lot of reasons. When I look at water, I really do. I look at it in a lot of different ways, but I've always been that way. Even as a kid, I was real seasonal in nature. Whatever kind of came into season, I wanted to go do. I just felt like I needed to go do it all.
That's awesome. And was that inspired by your dad or your mom or a family member?
My dad was really big into fishing. He loved to fish and camp, and I had an uncle that was really big into hunting. So, I got kind of that double experience of people that were involved in it and that enjoyed it. And I think that was probably the reason I got, immersed in a lot of different aspects of it as a kid. And I grew up in southern Oklahoma. We were lucky. There was so much public land, easy access. I could ride my bicycles to places to go fish, and there was a lot of public hunting land. And my peer group as a whole, that's what we did. And I think it's because it was easy and it was free.
You know what? One of the best things that I see here in my small town where I live in Fenton is there's nothing better when I see a kid on a bicycle, one hand on the handlebars with a pole, and the other hand off the handlebars is a little tackle box, and he's heading downtown just to do some fishing.
I love that. We don't see it enough anymore, and I wish we saw it more.
Well, that's kind of a big push that we like also is getting the kids out there, actually getting anybody out there that wants to start fishing or try fishing. You don't have to be young. You can be young, old, in between, anywhere. Just getting outdoors, throwing a rod, bobber. You just get them outside.
It doesn't matter what bites. Just watch the bobber go under. I didn't care as a kid even what I caught. It could be a 3-inch bluegill or a 5-pound channel cat. I was just as giddy. I just wanted to watch that bobber start shake, kind of swim off, and then disappear.
That is one of the coolest things as a kid is watching that little bobber dink around.
Oh yeah, yep. And something's on there.
Cool. I think it's still cool now, even at this age.
Oh, it is, especially when you do the old turn your head to make a conversation or something, and all of a sudden you look back and your bobber's gone.
Yeah. Now we have to focus our eyes a few times to figure out if it really is gone.
Right. Yeah. We won't talk about the age factor when you get older. You're making sure I gotta have my glasses on to see that, or like now to read the computer, right? And it's like
the old rod tips bending and poking down at the water. It's like, yep, there's something there.
I understand.
I saw a thing on the computer here the other day. It said back when we were kids, we were out in the evenings searching for worms, searching for frogs, near the pond. And kids today are searching for Wi-Fi connections. And it's like, that's so true. I remember going out, chasing frogs and digging up worms to go fishing as a kid. It's just, that's just seems to be lost nowadays.
I don't disagree, unfortunately.
Matter of fact, I see Jennifer Drake is on our live feed, and she has Drake's Guide Service up here in northern Michigan. And I think her daughter drew a bear permit.
Yeah, I do believe.
So a young lady getting out there going to do some bear hunting this fall.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So now talking a little bit about getting in the outdoors and getting out there. You're affiliated with Yamaha. You know, we're going to talk about some of their gear tonight. You know, when did that relationship start for you?
Well, I started with the Marine group probably almost 20 years ago, running all the Yamaha motors. We used to film a lot of fishing tournaments for them. I've ran a Yamaha for so long that I wouldn't even know what it's like to see anything else on the back of my boat. And then probably about 15, 16 years ago, we started doing work with the ATV, which, you know, became the side-by-side group. And, you know, it's just been a great blessing for us to work with both of those brands and people and watch them, because it is, I mean, I've been fortunate enough that I've taken executives out of Japan from Yamaha hunting and fishing and watch them kind of immerse in it in the culture. And it's just been a great partnership for us.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, because the guys from the walleye tour, there's 4 different gentlemen that we've kind of got to know here in the last year, and they said the exact same thing, that they brought the gentleman from over in Japan, from the factory over, and took them out and showed them how they use the equipment. And actually they want to know. They want to know. Yeah, they want to be able to know. If there's an improvement that needs to be made, they'll make it. You know, and talk a little bit. You said that you took them out hunting. From the hunting side, obviously that's a whole different culture. What was their experience like? Did they share anything with that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was, you know, and in a lot of cases, it was some of their first experience with firearms. They didn't understand, you know, why we would hunt certain animals at certain times in the whole aspects behind game laws. So it was an education. And on my behalf, it was a great education as well, because you got to see, you know, their interest and their excitement to learn those things. But you got to watch how they wanted to take that into some of the product development aspects as well. So, I mean, the experiences I had with everybody that came over, and I did it multiple times, were actually some of the most unique memories I had, because they weren't what I would call your typical hunting experience.
That's awesome. I would think that would be so cool to see another culture getting immersed into something they've never experienced before. Yeah. And I got to imagine too that generally speaking that they were open-minded about it and had a good time.
Very much so. I mean, they wanted to find perfection in their shooting. They wanted to ensure that they were, you know, very respectful to the game animals and the property, and, you know, the kind of people that I like to hunt with, that, you know, cherish the moment, understand it's, you know, there's more to it than just knocking down an animal. And it was a lot of fun and very eye-opening to me as well.
Yeah, that is awesome. I tell you what, we're bumping up here on our first break, so let's step outside real quick. We take our first break. We come back. We want to talk a little bit about some of the products from Yamaha that you use in the outdoors.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has reinvented the way you buy bows.
From now on, you can make the most educated decision possible
by basing your bow choice specifically on your shooting needs and goals.
All you need to do is ask yourself, what kind of shooter am I? What do I want to achieve?
PSE will help find the right category for you.
So, what kind of shooter are you?
Find out at psearchery.com.
We're back here for the second segment. Before we jump into the second segment, we want to give a quick shout out to M123 FM up in Newberry, Michigan, who carries our show. And Danny, you said you've got a picture up there. What's going on up there tonight?
Actually, what's going on up there actually, we're going to kind of do this a little differently. You're going to throw the screen up there. There you go. People on the live stream can see this. You can see that it's beautifully and sunny up in the UP. If you're over in Munising, it's still cloudy, or not cloudy, it's beautiful. Over Grand Marinay Island, look at that water. Little sailboats out there, looking nice. And then Sault Ste. Marie, Canada. It's looking across the whole entire UP. It's looking pretty up there. And the bridge, you can actually see the bridge, so that's kind of a good thing. And don't forget, while you're up in Newberry, stop at Cedars to try their pizza. Julie says it's really good, and they also carry Deer Camp coffee.
That's right, which we have right here. So
the reason why we have Wade on specifically, we'll start with the side-by-sides and the ATVs that he uses. So, Wade, I know you're down in Texas, and you said, we kind of talked earlier, that you kind of use it in kind of a ranch setting down there. So talk a little bit about which ones you do use down there and how you use them and like them.
Well, I mean, for us on the whole Yamaha lineup of side-by-sides, it's diversity, because so many properties are different. And what I've learned over the last, 15 plus years of using all the product lines is there's, what may work great for me in my area may not necessarily work perfect for somebody else. And it's not that the unit is bad, it's that the unit may not fit their needs. Like we can go back and look at the Viking line, a utility, a member of the side-by-side family at Yamaha. It can seat, up to 6 people in their big ones with a bigger bed. Well, if you've got a lot of people you're dropping off in a hunting situation, that's probably a desired unit for you. But if you want to probably get a little more aggressive, you want a little more power, you're going to use it for off-road trail riding, then maybe one of the Wolverine models, which there's a bunch of them. I mean, there's like 10 of those. Probably suit your needs a little better because they're a little more aggressive. They're a little more for that off-road style, got a little bit more ground clearance in them. And then, like I said, if you look into that entire lineup, you've got 2-seaters and 4-seaters and some with more power than others and some with these features. And so you really got to shop and find what's going to fit for your personal needs, whether you're hauling a bunch of gear around and a bunch of people, or it's just you and your wife or a buddy that's trying to look at it more from an off-road, recreation standpoint.
And that's a good point. We're looking at on the screen here right now. We're looking at the Wolverine line, and it looks like they got anywhere from an $850 up to $1,000. But it all depends on what, like you said, your needs. You got to look and see what you're going to be doing because some of those Wolverines that are 2-seaters, the bed might be a little bit bigger, but it depends on what you're going to be using it for.
That would kind of like for the guys who do the food plotting that are taking tools and implements out and things of that nature. Maybe they're taking their seed and fertilizer and hauling other gear and equipment out. Then you're going to need that bigger bed. Whereas,
I tell you, there's a little misconception there. Those 4-seat Wolverines that you see out there right now, you think, well, there's no room. Actually, those 2 seats in the back slide forward, and that's your bed. So you've got a ton of space in those big R-Maxes there. I mean, we routinely, when we're filming a show or we're working, we're going to have 3 people. And a camera guy, I don't know, I think he moves out of his house when he leaves. And he brings all that stuff in there. And we still got room to put a deer in there if we get lucky, which doesn't always happen, to get it around. So those Wolverine models that are 4-seaters are very adaptable in how you can move those seats around. So don't let that look and style think, wow, there's not a bed there. There is a bed there.
Nice. One of the best things to do is get out to your local Yamaha dealer, check them out, and try them out, because I see the price points they got anywhere. Looking on the website, quickly scanning from like $14,500, and they go up from there. So depending on what your price point might be.
Yes.
Get out there, check it out, and, give it a test drive. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to say, hey, this is what I do. What is best for me? And on the Viking side, they got anywhere from, it looks like $12,000, and it goes up from there. So, again, tell them what you're going to use it for, and they can probably direct you what you want to need, and then try it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you, if you test drive that Wolverine R-Max 41000, you're done. That thing's like driving a super Cadillac off-road with all of its features. We've got one of those out there, and I quit driving. Everybody's got an old ranch truck in Texas. I don't even drive it anymore. A ranch truck beats your teeth out. I can take that Wolverine out on the road, and it's just like going down the highway. It's pretty amazing.
Well, I tell you what, here in Michigan, it's kind of getting the same way when you're like up north. Sometimes when you go by a gas station, or you even go by the bar, if it's close enough to the trailhead, there's usually more side-by-sides there at the gas station or at the bar than any other vehicle.
Right.
I've seen that when I've traveled up there. That's pretty neat. That's pretty, we just use them off-road and on our hunting scenarios where we're at. But, I mean, when we go out on some of those trips, in Texas, and a lot of places will go well, we're out on a 100-acre farm. Well, in Texas, there are like 2 and 3 and 4,000 acre ranches down here. And that's what we, do most of our hunting on. And we just take off, fill it up and haul over gear and go. And there's something about that experience that I enjoy. You can feel the wind and it's comfortable, and I can haul tons of stuff in there. And like I said, depending on the features you're looking for, Yamaha's probably got it built into it.
Absolutely. And also they do have a pure sport model. Obviously, if you're not going to be wanting to do any of the ranch style stuff or the hunting, but get into the YXZ models and look into those, and there you can those are pure sport models, and those are the ones I see a lot of on the trails up in the UP, that they are
those are aggressive. Well, and I've been fortunate to take some members of the Yamaha racing team out hunting and expose them to hunting. And through that, I've learned how they use an ATV or a side-by-side in their racing at the national level. And these are, like multi-time world champions. And I get footage of them, we build it in the TV shows of how they're jumping dunes. And, I'm amazed at what they can put them through. I'm pretty happy going 35 miles an hour, but there's no question that those higher-end ones, the way they're designed, if they can compete at those guys winning world-class championships, I mean, anything that the general consumer is going to want and need is going to be covered.
Absolutely. And I also want to stress this, matter of fact, we're talking about side-by-sides and ATVs today, the stress and importance of learning the machine and how to control the machine, because actually my brother-in-law, he was out in Arizona last week. He took his grandson to the Grand Canyon, and his girlfriend, they were riding ATVs, and she I don't know the entire story. She ended up going too fast. She flipped it. She took 16 stitches to the head, got a free helicopter ride to the medevaced out, broke 4 ribs. So again, even though we talk about the fun that these have, safety.
Well, and you make a great point, and this is something that we push on all of our shows, all of our social media, and I laugh when I get some guy, sending us a note laughing because we got a helmet on. We gear up for the ride, and it's an important message that Yamaha has instilled upon us from day one, and the reasoning behind it. I mean, we're wearing gloves, we wear boots, we wear pants, long sleeve shirts, eye protection. I can't tell you how many times I've been riding around and you're off-roading in the mud and you hit a stick or something that flies up. Of course, I wear glasses, but, we make everybody else wear them. And then a helmet. And finally, put the seatbelt on. That seatbelt, it's just like driving your car. It should be the first thing you think of, because, you can get going too fast and you're in an off-road deal and you're not familiar with that unit, or even if you are familiar with it, it's what you need to do. It's the smartest thing. I mean, those accidents can be prevented. And if an accident unfortunately happens, at least you've got yourself covered up as good as you can and safety gear on that, maybe you don't get any stitches. You just get a little knot on your head. Who knows?
Well, case in point, I had a road bike, and this is back when I was a lot younger, and, I was wearing a helmet, but I didn't have my leather jacket on. And, I was checking out the ladies, riding along, and shot a wave to one and shot a wave back. And when I turned back around, I was only doing 25. The van in front of me stopped for in the road because there was a little bit of gravel where they had done some construction. By the time I had just turned my head and looked back, I was right at the back of that van, and it was, either hit the van, lay it down, I grabbed the fistful of brakes to lay it down. My helmet was tore up something fierce, only at 25. And I thought, good Lord, I'm so glad I had I did get a little road rash on my arm. It wasn't severe or anything, but the point is just 25 miles an hour. Yep. And the damage that could have been done if I had not been had a helmet on, and I should have had my jacket on as well, and I should have been paying attention. So,
I keep a lot of gloves and goggles and helmets at our deer leases for that reason. It just, we're there to have fun. We're not there to get air backed out.
Yeah. Well, and also you talk about eye protection. How many guys ride with a helmet on and they'll flip the visor up, and you take a bug to the eye. I mean, that you could lose your eyesight.
Yep.
Not only that, it just hurts. So.
Absolutely.
So
a bug at 50 miles an hour is not a tickle.
No, it's not.
No.
Well,
They can say what they want. They're not tasty either.
No, they're not. Not at all. Unless they're dipped in something.
Yeah, maybe they put a little ranch dressing. And, anything fried, right? Hey,
Right.
that's pretty good.
There you go. Question for you on the side-by-sides. It's something that I know people are going to want to know and ask, and as well as me. But I've used the Yamaha generators, for bow fishing in the boat to run the lights at night or at a campsite, what have you. And those are really ultra quiet. Now, with the side-by-sides, if you're in a hunting situation, you're dropping people off, obviously we're concerned about noise. Talk about that a little bit as to how quiet they are.
Every year it's gotten better and better, and I think some of that quietness comes from a lot of the camps. I mean, we've hosted engineers that design these and come out, and they kind of learn and understand why we want to make them as quiet as we can. So the advancements in them being quiet is phenomenal. But I tell people all the time, my best tip when it comes to ATVs and side-by-sides, hunting not only Texas but anywhere I go, if you haven't driven a vehicle in an area before and all of a sudden on opening day you decide to drive right to your stand, you probably blew it right there because that sound is not something they're used to. But if in the opposite side of that, if you're on a property where you drive side-by-sides and ATVs all the time and a deer becomes, used to that sound, he doesn't associate it with danger, and you're riding on the same trails that you always ride, he's probably not even going to get out of bed. He's going to sit there, you're going to drive by, he's the world didn't change. So I'm a firm believer that it's not necessarily about the sound, it's about just being a smart hunter. If I haven't driven it in there, don't drive it in there. If I have driven in there, I'm probably better driving it in there than walking in there.
Absolutely. Conditioning the animals.
Yes, absolutely.
I completely
don't change
understand
things up.
Right, exactly.
And that's one of the things when, especially in hunting, different noise, a squeak, it can all change.
Absolutely.
It's kind of ironic that we talk about that, but yet I got video. I'll show it to you. That we were out in the food plot, and here comes a little Miss Doe, and she just wanted to see what we were doing, and got within 6 feet of us. So
you just never know.
Absolutely, that's the thing, right? So you just take every precautions when you're hunting, using the side-by-side, getting out there. Like you said, they drive like a Cadillac now compared to the very first ones way back when they were out.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're bumping up here on our second break. Let's take another quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. We'll be
awesome.
We'll be right back after this.
PSE Archery has always dominated the speed category. Now, the most revolutionary cam system ever to hit the market has perfected the shooting experience. Introducing PSE's Evolve Cam System, featuring extremely high let-off capabilities and the smoothest draw cycle in history. No other cam system has ever delivered this level of total comfort and total control. Experience PSE. Experience performance.
Welcome back. For those of you on the podcast, you got to watch the live coverage. Live stream.
What happens between the show that you don't hear, you got to watch on the live stream because we usually get into the weeds with something.
That's right.
And it's usually pretty fun.
Talking a little ice fishing.
So, yeah. So, speaking of ice fishing, not that he does a lot of it, but he also does bass fishing.
That's right.
So we got to talk a little bit about bass fishing.
He does a little bass fishing, I think.
Right, exactly. He like I said earlier in the show, if he's driving down the highway, sees a pond, he's probably going to pull out his fishing pole and go try it. And you've been running the Yamaha outboard on your motors, and which one are you using?
I've got to show. Well, I've got a 150, I've got a 250, and I've got a 40 horsepower jet right now on 3 different models of boats that we film out of. And so we're always kind of tweaking and adjusting based on what we plan on doing for that year ahead.
Excellent. And you've been with them, like we talked about earlier, about 20 years. And
yes, sir.
We wouldn't be amiss when we talk about Yamaha is for anybody out there that does do any fishing, tournament fishing, you got to sign up for the free Power Pay to get on.
Oh yeah.
To get on there. If you win the tournament, or actually if you place in the tournament, there's a potential you could get some money from Yamaha because you're running a Yamaha motor. So go on, check out PowerPay, and then you can go ahead from there. I do see something new coming down the pipe. I'm on their website right now. Is that they're going to have their own My Yamaha Outboard app.
Yes.
So we're going to check that out here when it comes out a little bit more. I just saw that on the website today as we were kind of spinning through to see what's going on. But, one thing as a pro fisherman that you are, you rely on your motor to start up every time and limited amount of maintenance because you need to get up and go.
That's right.
And you got to like Yamaha for that fact.
Yeah, I mean, reliability and dependability are, buzzwords at Yamaha for a reason. And, whether you're, at the highest level of tournament fishing or you're just a recreational guy out with your grandkids drowning minnows and you see a storm coming, when it comes time to turn the key on, you want something that's going to perform. And that's what you're looking at when you run a Yamaha. And there's a reason behind that. Once again, the same things we talked about in the hunting, applying the fishing, those guys that are designing these, that work on them, they get out and use them. It's not just somebody designing something with no experience. And so they understand the need for those aspects to really work and perform. And like I said, it doesn't matter whether you got 4 quads on a 37-foot Freeman or you're running a little John boat with a 9.9 on there. It's all about working when it comes time to turn it on.
Well, I've been watching the walleye, the head-to-head walleye here the last month or so, and watching the 4 guys, Yamaha pro fishermen there. And it amazes me, when they're really grinding and they're head-to-head and they're, within a 1 or 2 fish from the next guy, or maybe they're up a fish or 2, and there's only minutes left in the tournament, all of a sudden they'll fire it and jump to the next spot. And I'm like, those things, you talk about a hole shot, those things come out of there and they're down the lake or river, wherever, in no time and set up and fish. That blows my mind how quickly you guys do that. And I got to imagine for you, it's the same. Yeah.
Time is money. Time is money. And you're probably talking about guys like Joe Okada, Robert Blauser, some of those guys that are, longtime Yamaha pros. I've actually been fortunate enough to fish with both Robert and Joe at some Yamaha media events several years back up there and share time with them and understand what they use it for in walleye versus necessarily what we would use it for in saltwater or bass fishing. But at the end of the day, it's turning it on, knowing that it's going to start, knowing that it's going to perform, so you can risk that move with 3 minutes left to go fish for 1 minute for the fish that could, get you the power play or win the tournament.
All right, so those guys.
Oh yeah.
Give us a good story.
Well, I fished with Joe. And we were on a Michigan lake, and this has been a long time ago. I'm sorry I can't remember what lake it was. We're at a media event, and I didn't know him from Adam. Of course, he didn't know me from Adam. And we're running across the lake, and we're going to walleye fish and stuff, and we're going around, and we drift up close. And I look down, and there's like smallmouth on bed everywhere. And I'm like, hey, can we fish for these? I mean, they're on the beds. And he and I literally for, I don't know, we got like an hour of fishing and didn't know each other, but we bonded over catching all kinds of smallmouth, like 2 little kids that have known each other a long time. And I've been fortunate to follow some of his career now and watch him grow as a walleye tournament angler. And but I'll always remember it's not going to be walleye fishing when I think of Joe Okada. It's going to be thinking about me and him smallmouth fishing. But there's like 2 docks and they were just everywhere. And I was like, man, let's do this. And he was all in. Just catching fish made us both happy.
That is awesome.
And that's a true statement. I was watching him today on the live feed, and he actually caught a crappie today. Obviously not catching the walleye he needed to catch because he did lose his head-to-head. But, you see that smile, no matter what kind of fish it was, he was smiling that he caught it. Obviously, he needed that his cousin to come over, but he never did. But like you said, you can bond over hunting, you can bond over fishing. It's just that those few minutes you had with him sounded like a blast.
Absolutely.
That is so cool.
And Mark Coleman does make a comment about you, Wade. He says, "Do you love what you do? It sounds amazing."
Oh, yeah. I mean, I still to this day get up just as excited of doing. I mean, yesterday we were out at our deer lease. We had to shoot some photos for Smith & Wesson, and we were filling deer feeders. When we broke down, we were hauling 2 giant trailers across the deal, and I had to walk about 3 miles to get back to where we had all of our side-by-sides at so we could get stuff around. And I was just as happy, walking through the brush, looking at places as if I would have been catching 10-pound bass. I don't know. I may be the luckiest guy alive in my mind, because I still just get as excited every time I go, whatever I'm going to do.
And speaking of being a lucky kind of guy, got a picture of a deer you shot with a pistol. Now, tell us about that pistol, because that thing looks humongous in the photo.
Which one was that? Did you get that off of? Was it like a big silver handgun from the Smith & Wesson Performance Center? Can you tell?
Sure.
Yeah. So I got to be clear here. I took up handgun hunting a little over a decade ago, and there's a lot of big handguns that I have fallen in love shooting. And so one of them was the 460 XBR. It's got to be that, and if it's a big long barrel, and it's a big silver, looks like it'd break your hand. Dirty Harry doesn't have anything on that one when he holds the gun up. But I really have taken a love of handgun hunting because it requires a different trigger discipline than shooting one with a rifle. Right. And once again, I like to hunt with everything: crossbows, compound bows, muzzle loaders. I mean, I will hunt a deer with anything that's legal. But that handgun hunting is something that I am still really 10 years into this, understanding and learning all the nuances of trigger pull and the ballistics and how each handgun performs, because they really perform very different than anything I've ever shot.
I had the fortune of taking a deer with a 44 mag.
Yes.
And you're right. There's just something totally different about it. Aside from the trigger pull, I mean, there's the excitement I had of taking a deer, taking a doe. It was a doe. It wasn't a big buck or anything like that. I mean, I was shaking like a leaf because I had the pistol, and I was going to take this animal with a pistol. And it's just something I always had on my bucket list. So yes. I understand a little bit of that.
What caliber is that handgun?
If it's the one I'm thinking of, it's a 460. So, I mean, I've shot them with everything up to a 500.
That is a wallop of a gun. I've shot
you feel it?
Yeah, you feel it. I've shot a 454 Casull before, and
yes. Yep.
The percussion that comes back off of those is simply incredible. It doesn't rattle you or hurt you. No. You feel it, but it's almost like it subtly moves you, if that explains it correctly.
In understanding the different loads, like you can shoot a 45 long Colt out of some of the same places you're shooting that 460 out of, and I'll practice with that 45 long Colt because it has less recoil and less energy to work on trigger pull. Mm-hmm. But then, when it comes time to hunt, if I want maximum performance, I'll go up to that 460 round, and it just really understanding your limitations, just like bow hunting. Some guys are comfortable shooting a bow at 40, and some guys don't want to take a shot over 20. And it's the same situation in handgun hunting. There's guys that I have been fortunate enough to have mentors to teach me things about handguns. They can dot eyes at 100, 125 yards, where I'm good at 50. Right. I don't want to disrespect the deer by taking that shot. I might shoot at the paper at that deal, but they're so competent in it that they're like me with a rifle. It's a different game, but they're experts at it, that I call. And I've always been a believer: understand your limitations and set up your hunts to that style.
Everybody's effective range is different.
It is,
and that's something we preach here on the show as well. Is because I know a few years back when the Drury's shot a turkey at 75 yards, and the Facebook just blew up about how unethical it was and everything. And he said, "Look, this is what I practice. I'm comfortable with it.
That's right.
It's I can do it. Exactly. If you can do it, just like you said with a handgun or with a bow. Some of these guys get out there, shoot 100 yards, and it's no big deal.
That's right. They're better than me at that. And so if they know their equipment and they know the conditions are right for it and they can pull it off, that's great. But and one thing I try not to do is say, hey guys, you can do this at home but you got to practice. And you do. And you know, I look at crossbows the same way. You know, you can shoot I field tested a bunch of 10-point crossbows last year, and I made shots at 125 yards where I was shooting, you know, 2 and 3 inch groups with a 20-mile-an-hour crosswind. I don't think I'm that good enough. I wouldn't want to shoot at a deer like that. There's too much loss of downrange energy, too much, you know, risk of lack of penetration to get the broadhead to perform properly. But giving it to me at 40, I'm gonna shoot him all day long.
Yep, exactly. It's practicing your effective range. It's simple, just like knowing your limitations. Probably out when you're out fishing, right?
That's right.
Don't takes a risk that, you know, could get you in trouble.
That's right.
You know, it's just one of those things, being effective and being safe.
Well, it's just like we talked about the helmets on riding a side-by-side and goggles. Why risk it? You know, you put it on, protect your eyes, protect your head, and why risk it? It takes you less than a minute.
Absolutely.
It's kind of, and on the other side of that, it takes but a second for it to all go wrong.
That's a great point. Absolutely great point.
You know, it's one of those things you sit there and I gotta wear gloves or I gotta wear eye protection. Well, in a split second, things can go mighty wrong, and you might not be able to see out of your eye. I know Billy Hoffman. He was out shooting the 3D course. He was at full draw shooting at a 3D course, and he got stung on his ankle by a wasp, which made him roll his release, and it derailed his bow, and his bow basically let go right there, and his release hit him in the eye. And it was, you know, it was black and blue, and luckily there's no damage.
Well, he went in, if I'm not mistaken, it bruised his eye, and it did do something to the it didn't detach it.
It bruised it.
He's going to be okay.
He'll be okay, but look at that. Yeah. What you expect? You're out on a 3D course. What's the odds you're thinking a wasp is going to
sting you
that quickly? Things can change.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got a question here, and I don't know, Danny. Do
well. I was watching the questions, and I was debating whether we save them to the last segment, and we'll just.
I tell you what. Let's take our last break.
Okay.
I know we're talking about the same question.
Yes, we are,
and I do want to ask it. So
and before we go to our last break, Wade, if anybody wants to find out more about you and what you do, where can they go to find more about you?
I mean, a lot of our shows are streamed on Outdoor Action. You can watch it, watch everything there. You can go to my Facebook page and follow along. I mean, we pretty much post everything there, but we've got so many places. There's no good one place, and that kind of helps me hide out from how much money I spend, so my wife doesn't really know.
Oh, I see what you do. You spread it out over a distance, and that way it's just like a trickle effect. Oh,
that's
honey,
right. That's right.
I get it. So anybody out there, if you want to find out more about Wade, actually, if you just type it into a Google search, it comes up. You can't miss the guy. He is one of the very few guys that you will only see him in a golf visor. There is
it's his air conditioning.
It's his trademark, and that's how I recognized him, because the name was hitting me, and I couldn't. As soon as I saw his picture, I saw the visor. I said, "Oh, it's the visor guy, obviously." So we'll go to our last break. We'll come back. It'll be our turn to ask you some questions that we always ask our guests, and we got a couple of questions in the hopper waiting for you. Anyways.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
Acceleration is part of PSE's DNA. PSE pioneered the speed movement. Now they've developed the vapor category to help you find the most powerful bows on the market to fit you.
High speed equates to intense power and building the momentum you need to be successful. Are you a vapor shooter? Find out at psearchery.com.
Welcome back. Last segment of the show. We're going to get into some questions.
Yeah, we're going to get into some questions. But before we do, there's something I wanted to give you props to about first responders, a hunt coming up, or they can get involved in.
Yeah, we try to do some things like that all the time. This is Bucks for the Brave that Sportsman's Choice Record Rack does. And it's about 3 years ago is when I first became aware of it. It's really neat in the fact that an Army guy, Navy guy, Air Force, first responders, Coast Guard, there's lots of different categories. They can simply submit basically a letter. You can write it for somebody. You know somebody that's worthy out there, for lack of a better word. It's a hero in your opinion. And I mean, there's been 90-year-old folks and 25-year-old folks that have won this and gone on them, and they take them to this really nice Texas ranch where some people have put together an effort to, make sure they're rewarded for what they've done. And it's just a neat event. I mean, Donald Trump Jr. all the way down has shown up to, pat these guys on the back.
That is awesome. The people that put their lives on the line for us. I mean, what better way to reward people like that?
It's called Bucks for the Brave Heroes Hunt. And if you go over to Wade's page, you can scroll down in there. There's a video over there, and you can find out more about how to nominate your hero for the hunting trip of a lifetime.
So there you go. If you got a hero out there, first responder, put them in. We hear stories every day about people going above and beyond the call of duty, and putting their lives at risk to save ours or to, make sure that we're safe. So can't say enough good stuff about those people.
That's why we get to do what we're all doing right now.
There you go. Absolutely. Yep. If it wasn't for the guys out there and gals protecting us and fighting for us and putting ourselves in harm's way, we couldn't get out and have the fun that we so much enjoy here. So,
all right, Wade. A couple of questions from the crowd. Melissa Baudou asks, "What's your favorite fishing memory during your childhood?"
That's a good question.
Camping with my family, no doubt about it. There was one spot we camped at all the time, and I would walk away from our little pop-up camper. Back then, it seemed like it was, 25 miles, but now I go back there, and I was only walking like 100 yards. And there was a little trail down to this spot, and there was a rock about just as far as I could cast a Zebco 202, because that's what I had back then. And I would sit there and cast at that rock with my little red and white bobber and catch panfish. And as I got older, I learned I could catch catfish around it. And then that, without a question, is my favorite memories as a kid. I mean, I know where that rock is today. I know where that road is today. And I can close my eyes and still visualize it.
I don't know who has not used a Zebco reel.
That's what you cut your teeth on.
That's it.
It's like, as the Zebco, I remember those days, and then you had to spin the cap off, and then
Well, my grandson, my first grandson, I've got 3 grandkids, but my oldest, he'll be 5 at the end of August, and wow. I'm contemplating getting him his first real rod and reel and tackle box.
Yes.
So that's the direction I'm leaning. And
that'd be awesome.
If my daughter's listening in, don't tell them.
Right? Don't lead on.
That'd be awesome.
And Melissa also asks, "What's the biggest buck you've caught?"
Catching deer is really, really tough. So
sorry,
I
Melissa.
haven't caught any. So
she was being nice, saying caught instead of killed.
I understand. We're gonna be politically correct.
Sorry, Melissa. We had to have a good laugh.
Had to have a little fun with that one.
Yeah, and obviously there's the group of guys that do that whole
catching deers.
Catching deers.
Catching deers. That's kind of what triggered me to say that. Yeah.
Those are a bunch of good old boys. We saw them at the ATA a few years back, and
did you?
What they are on camera is what they are in person.
Yeah,
that's good.
Good stuff.
Here's one. What's the best barbecue in Texas?
Oh wow, my wife's.
Oh, good call.
Good answer.
To be politically correct. Yeah.
Good answer.
There's so many good ones. There's several different ones that I actually like driving to these little towns in deer season or fishing and randomly stopping at some of them. And what I have learned is the ones that are out of barbecue by 1 o'clock, that's the ones to make sure you stop at, because everybody's already rated them and they're gone and they close. You know. So, but there's some great ones here. There really is.
If you're ever in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, stop at Dreamland.
Okay.
That place has got phenomenal finger-licking good barbecue, just straight up. And that's all they do is barbecue.
Good.
No beans, no slaw, no
remember
nothing.
that.
It's one of those places. So
Even Melissa laughed. See?
yeah, well, good. We had
We gotta
a
get,
good laugh.
She's never been ice fishing, so we got to get her up here to do some ice fishing. We're going to try to arrange something to get her out on the ice.
It's a great adventure. I should have done it years ago.
We're going to build a fire on the ice. But you got to have enough ice.
Yeah, I was going to say, we got to have enough ice.
Got to have enough ice to go ice fishing first.
Okay, so now you're down to our questions.
I'm going to ask, this is fishing related.
Yeah, okay, so now these are typical 4 or 5 questions we ask every interviewee that we have on the show. And the first one is, obviously, you travel a lot. Whether you're flying, driving, boating, side by side. You have a radio. What are you typically listening to? A music podcast? What type of music? What do you listen to?
I am a channel. I still just surf the FM radio dials. So I literally listen to everything from talk radio in San Antonio to some guy named Jay Gonzalez out in Del Rio, Texas, when we're out there, to wherever I'm at. I'm not necessarily a podcast guy. I don't download music. I just listen to local radio about wherever I'm at.
I like to do that myself when I'm traveling in the fall, when I'm heading up to my cabin in the UP, because what I do is I catch the local football games on Thursday or Friday night.
Yep. High school games.
And it's awesome, but it kind of stinks because I starts to get towards the end of the game and all of a sudden I fade out and they're gone.
You don't know
You don't get the final quarter.
Right? So you're listening to your FM station of choice that's coming in. You're still driving. What's your favorite snack while you're listening, driving, fishing?
Barbecue potato chips.
I've never heard that one before.
Yeah, that's my guilty pleasure. Barbecue potato chips.
Okay. Any certain brand?
Yes, Guys Barbecue Potato Chips. They're out of Missouri. In fact, my mom used to mail them to me. My wife buys them on Amazon and ships them in. I mean, as a kid, I loved them, and that's, you only kind of find them in that one little part of the world now. But if I had to pick a guilty pleasure, that's it.
Strange that you say that, because one of the things when we're out doing remote newscasts, like we do a special show, one of our news anchors we have to have a bag of barbecue potato chips for her, and they're just for her. If anybody touches them, they get their hands cut off.
Hey, I'll share mine.
But that's the same way. So that's the first one we've had on barbecue potato chips.
Hey. All right, go ahead with your fishing question.
All right, so I heard somebody ask this the other day, and it got me to thinking, since we're interviewing you, what is the strangest thing that you have ever pulled out of the water on a hook?
That's suitable for radio.
It's kind of a double catch, actually. I had to think about how to preface this. So I had flipped a jig up under a dock, and the kind of line got tight, and I set the hook, and it was a chair. But attached to the chair was a diaper bag, and it was full of diapers, but one of them was very well used. So you can tell. So as it's coming up out of the water, it was kind of an obvious. I don't understand why there wasn't more catfish or something under the dock.
Right. Wow.
Literally.
Man, it's just how it looked when it come out of the water. I mean, it was like, okay.
You literally set the hook on a bag of poop.
I set the hook on the chair, and the bag of. I got a double on that one.
Oh, a double. There you go.
A double.
It's like on a perch rig when you bring them up, you got two. Or a crappie rig.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
I had doo-doo too.
That's funny.
There you go.
That is funny.
All right, one of our other questions that we like to ask is, Mike and Dan are going to come down to your place in San Antonio, and you're going to cook us a meal. What's your favorite go-to meal that you'd say, hey, Mike and Dan, I want you to try this because it's going to be the bomb? What would that meal be?
It would be a combination of smoked bacon-wrapped dove that then I love to smoke it. I used to grill it, but I started smoking it about 10 years ago. And then we're going to have a ribeye kind of on the side, about an 8-ounce ribeye. So it would be that with all the fixings. I mean, that's kind of my specialty that I'm known for.
Bacon-wrapped dove. Oh, my gosh. Mm-hmm. My mouth is watering right now. Danny,
smoked. You got to smoke it, though. I mean, there's a key to that whole smoking them. I mean, they come out it's when you put them on the grill, they can get crispy on one side or the other. One, the bacon catches on fire, and you get one that's black, one that's brown.
Yeah.
But when you smoke them, I mean, they're like to perfection. You don't ever mess them up. And then you throw 4 or 5 of those next to about an 8-ounce ribeye and all the fixing. That you might not get up out of bed the next morning in time to go fishing.
Right?
Probably not.
Wow. Now, what do you use to smoke them with?
A Bradley smoker is what I found works the most consistent because I can control how much smoke goes onto them. I like to put the smoke to them for about an hour and a half, and then I actually will cook them for about, depending on how many, about 2.5 to 3 hours. So that's kind of the key deal. A lot of people they over smoke them. I think they you just want about an hour and a half of smoke, and then good consistent heat to that bacon turns real nice and crisp. The way men like bacon.
Hey, amen to that. What flavor of smoke you putting with it? I mean, what are you using?
I like mesquite.
Okay.
I use mesquite, and then what I do is I get a jalapeno cream cheese and about 3 jalapenos that I fillet my doves off the bone, and then wrap them, and then kind of put one piece of bacon going around it, one piece going the other way. Put all the cream cheese in there, and I mean, it's a delight. It is a delight.
Michigan DNR, did you hear that?
No. Okay.
Don't get me on my soapbox.
Hold on.
No doubt.
So,
that's right. You guys are in a challenged area.
So we had a comment in the comment section that it played right into. You're talking about smoking a dove, and Tom Gensel, who is a hunter, he said, "But that's a songbird here in Michigan."
Exactly. But as soon as it crosses the Ohio or Indiana state line, it becomes game bird.
Right. And Mike and Danny, Mark Coleman wants us 3 to go down there and have some smoked dove. Right?
Come on
there
down.
You go.
Okay. Melissa also asked, this is kind of what's your, man, this is going to be a tough one actually, I think, for you. What's your favorite lure?
That is tough because I'm a guy that will catch them on anything. I love to catch them on a topwater bait, but probably I'm going to have to say a soft plastic imitation craw that I can flip in the bushes. There's something about that bite. But once again, I throw whatever they want to eat. That's my favorite of that day.
Absolutely.
From craws to frogs to everything in between.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't care. I mean, if it's going to nibble on it, I'm going to set the hook.
There you go.
And typically what we do is after we have that great meal, which we're frothing at the mouth over, we like to ask you, what would be like a story we're going to sit around the fire and you're going to say, hey, Mike and Dan, I got to tell you this story. And it's a story from it just happened, or it's a story that it's somewhere in your mind. It hits you. So what story would that be?
I think it would just have to be the story about, golly, just to pick one. I mean, I generally are probably, if I am telling a story around a campfire, it's going to be something tied to what we're looking forward to doing the next day. How excited I am about it, more than looking at the past. And just saying, hey guys, here's what I expect. Here's what I'm excited about. Here's what we're going to see. I'm always looking around that next bend of the river, or where that next fish is going to be, or that buck's going to be, or whatever it's going to be. That's just always been me. I'm more excited about what we're going to do the next day than what we did, when they weren't there.
I like that. I like the fact that you're looking ahead, because I've always said you can't see where you're going if you're always looking in the rear. I mean, it's good to have memories. It's good to have memories and things, and remember the good times and the time with family and friends. But I like that answer, because that's being positive. It's thinking about the next hunt, the next fishing trip, what have you. So I like that.
And that it's one of those things. If we ever hunt with him, he'll probably show us like game camera pictures of bucks that we might be able, unless we're in Arizona.
Right.
Yeah, we won't be able to see it in Arizona.
Right? I had to throw that in there because you were leading right there. I said, all right, I got to do that.
Yeah,
Mark Coleman says they need to come up with barbecue chip scented lures.
Probably, I'd have a problem. How am I going to figure out to tie it on the line and throw it in the water, because I'm going to want to eat it?
Right?
There you go.
Right. So there you go. That's typically what we ask all our interviewees, just kind of get us, let you know what's going on and kind of pick your mind a little bit of what you're doing and what you're listening to out there.
Yeah, that was fun.
Well, we appreciate you taking time out tonight. We're running up here towards the end of the show. We'll wrap up the podcast portion, and if you just hang with us for a minute, then we'll kind of sign off on the live stream. But
sounds good.
Once again, everybody can reach out to you on Facebook, YouTube. I imagine you got a good following on YouTube as well, and just do a Google search to find where you're at.
Yeah, do a Google search, and his face will pop up, and from there you can go from Instagram to LinkedIn to Facebook, all over
the place. So for those of you on the podcast, make sure you go over to his social media pages, give him a like, follow, share. Do the same for us on our show as well, and give the show a share. It helps us out. If you're listening to us over on iTunes, make sure you give us a review over there. That helps the people who help us, our sponsors. So y'all take care. Next week, Dan, do we have anything sitting in the hopper yet for next week?
Not yet. There's a couple of ideas I'm going to throw at you after the show, see if we want to talk about them. And remember, in a couple of days, the show will come out. The Facebook Live will come out on YouTube.
Yep.
Go over there, subscribe, and
there
we'll be happy there.
All right. So for those of you on the podcast, that'll do it for us this week, folks. We'll see you all again next Thursday night, same time, same channel. Y'all take care. This episode was brought to you by
PSE Archery, Yamaha Outboards, Better the Hunt, Easy Cut, Packer Max, Deer Camp Coffee, Buck Baits, JPO Game Calls, Limwalker Game Calls, Wild Seasoning, Total Peep, Sunrise Archery, Scent Lock, and Scent Blocker.
Thanks for listening, and join us again here next week. Until then, remember, as we always like to say, if you're out on the water or in the woods, shoot straight and be safe until next week on the Up North Journal.